Welcome, goddesses. This is Alishina, and today we're talking about my favorite subject, sexuality, gender, and fluidity, and specifically how this relates to a deeper spiritual awakening. So I identified as heterosexual for the first 32 years of my life. I was married to a woman for 5 years, very traditional. I was married to my best friend and my soulmate. And through my shamanic path, my path of awakening, of personal growth and healing, I uncovered all this repressed homoerotic feelings, this attraction towards men. And so I left my marriage, and I left my career, left my life, everything to come out. So I came out as gay for about 4 or 5 years, and then kind of came out as bisexual. And but now I'm in this place where the labels, I am fluid and free, baby. So if that's your truth, I'm going to invite you into a framework to really be free from this old paradigm of gay and bisexual and straight, because all that's actually nonsense. It's really just pinpointing an expression of the divine, and the divine expresses herself on a spectrum of energy. So if you're experiencing your energy in the sense of like masculine and then feminine, and then kind of these shift changes in between that could be from 1 minute to the next, or could be last for days at a time. Or if you're experiencing the same thing with your sexuality, like you feel this, like you're very into men, you know, whether you're a man or woman, and it's just there, it's for days, or maybe it's for months, or maybe it's for longer, maybe it's just for a minute, and then it shifts, you know? And it's almost like when you shift into that energy, when you look back at the same thing you were attracted to, maybe it's not even there. Like, you're like, how could I be attracted? And so then you're starting to question the same thing too with your gender. So you're starting to question, like, who am I? What is my real identity? What is my real gender? What is my real sexuality? Maybe you identify as non-binary, which I freaking hate that term, by the way, because you're not a specimen. You're like this. You are this divine spirit living in this beautiful, beautiful experience. You're a living embodiment of a god. You're a living embodiment of a goddess. So own who you are. Don't be a non-binary specimen. Just Alishina's invitation. So I came out and lived in that kind of world as. Lived in a gay community. I bartended in a gay bar for a while to come out and really experience the gay community. Had lots of gay friends, gay sex, and then I started to feel like I still had this attraction towards women, and so I kind of explored these different kind of labels, but they ultimately never really felt home for me. I felt with the gay community, if I was kind of in this bisexual place, from some of them, not all, I felt this sense of like, oh, he's not like, hasn't come home yet, or hasn't really figured it out yet, or he's not really being true to himself, or he's still hiding. So I felt this kind of judgment and exclusion from them. And from the straight community, most of my friends were really okay, and I still got the same thing from them. I still felt from some of the straight friends when I was in this in-between place. They're like, oh, he hasn't really figured it out yet. Because if you know, well, most of my friends had known me as Keith at the time. I'm now Alishina. They kind of, I had this, they also felt like, oh, Keith just hasn't figured it out yet. We've always known Keith is gay. He's just got to figure it out. And it was really painful for people in my life to feel like, to project to me that they knew who I was more than I did. And it was because they're looking through this lens, this dualistic lens of like, you're straight or you're gay. And that's been really destructive for me. It's been really painful. And the place of freedom for me it has been my full-time, full-on 5-year journey is to get to this place where I can sit here and say, I am free of labels. I am free of any need to identify. I am fluid and free. And so my invitation for you, if you're experiencing this kind of tug and pull between gender and sexuality, is just to listen to what I'm saying. What you're experiencing is actually a deeper spiritual awakening. So I'm an initiate and carrier of the shamanic tradition from the Peruvian Andes. And this comes from the Quechua people. They're the last descendants of the Incas. They carry a prophecy, they carry an energy medicine. They're just very, very wise healers. And they understand the transition in the world that's happening from like 2012, the past like 2,000 to 5,000 years was this realm of the patriarchy, or the Piscean age. And this has been basically a world that's been, we understand, is very masculine. You know, this is the reign of kings, you know, and it's kind of swung to the spectrum, right? So talking about this spectrum, the patriarchy is on this one spectrum, where it's become very unconscious and it needs to come back into balance with the feminine energy. So this what they prophesize is we're coming into the Aquarian age, or more of this feminine age. So what we're experiencing, whether you're a man or woman, is this surgence of feminine energy. Feminine energy is very fluid. So if it happens in a man, the first thing you're gonna think is, oh my God, I'm gay, which is what happened to me. And in women, you may experience this fluidity and this call to really integrate your masculine side of yourself. Whether you're a man or a woman, whether you're trans, or whether you don't, it doesn't matter. You're a living being. You're experiencing a stronger presence of feminine and masculine energy, and our call to awaken in humanity is to integrate these energies. So what the shamans call is this evolution into what's called the Homo luminous. So we're evolving from Homo sapiens into Homo luminous, and that's the illuminated being, where it's actually a spiritual evolution. It's where our light bodies or our energy bodies are going to become, this is really where the stage of evolution is happening. And the prophecy is that in probably a decade or two, we'll actually all start to be able to see colors and see auras and see our energy bodies. So without getting too much into that, you don't have to believe in any of that. What I know you're probably experiencing is this shift and flow and ebb and flow in masculine and feminine energy, and your attraction towards men or women, or attraction towards masculine and feminine, and identification with. What's really underneath is that this is a spiritual awakening. You represent the evolution of humanity. Holla frickin' you, Lula. Like, amen. So if you're feeling crazy, if you're feeling like this is like weird, don't freak out. I'm going to present to you a framework, really a way to deconstruct, a way to let go. I'm going to show you how the old paradigm works and what you're shifting into is the new paradigm. And I'm going to plug here, just look up Bob Proctor and paradigms. He's the grandfather of personal growth, but he does the most amazing job of describing what paradigms are. They're really your belief systems. It's your operating system. They run underneath. Your paradigm was installed by the time you're age like 5 or 6, and it also dates back thousands of years, like in your lineage. But anyway, think of it as your operating system. And our operating system, for most of us, we have taken on this operating system of seeing things very dualistic in the sense of like gay and straight, masculine and feminine. And even in the sense of like him and her and she and he. We don't yet have a paradigm, a language, which is what we have to do through being who we are, being fluid, being open, deconstructing those boundaries to come up with new language, come up with new belief systems. And the only thing that I've come up with so far is my living mantra is fluid and free. Like, fuck the labels, be fluid and free. And as soon as I've started to just take that mantra in, I've been able to shift, because there's a part of me that, I realize this comes from like egoic constructs, or part of this sense of need to identify. We do live in this world. There is a need to have language and refer to ourselves and really understand internally what's going on. So having a language that we can, this is part of the new operating system, is having new language, new zeros and one combinations. So the old paradigm, the old way of thinking is like things are on one side of the spectrum, the other, gay or straight. And the new paradigm is really the place of freedom. So it's to be able to shift in and out of your energy. So I can give you an example, like when I get on these videos, I'm delivering a message, so I'm in a very much more masculine energy, but my essence overall is profoundly feminine, or at least that's my experience. It's like she can be very fluid, she can be very sassy, she can be very fiery, and she can be very fierce. And that's a powerful energy that we need in this planet right now, is that fierce, embodied, darker feminine energy. But what she needs is her masculine, right? The yin masculine is the receptive, space-holding masculine. So there's an element, really the work that's calling us into is understanding. I want to present to you a quadrant. So imagine a quadrant here, and there's 4 quadrants. So this side is the masculine, this side is the feminine. On the masculine side, there's a yin and the yang. On the feminine side, there's a yin and the yang. Traditionally, we think of yin and yang as masculine and feminine. But what helps is to understand that both the masculine and feminine have a yin and the yang in and of themselves. So on the masculine side, the yin masculine is the receptive, is the witnessing. In like sacred sexuality or in tantra or in the bedroom, this is the masculine that sits back and adores the beauty of his lover. Right? And kind of does the massage or creates the candles, and there's one is that holds the space for her, whether that's male or female, holds the space for her to relax. And then there's the more yang masculine, and the yang masculine is the one that's going to come in and penetrate, the one that's going to come in and really give, the one that has goals, the one that's more action oriented. So this is That's the yang masculine. And see, the yang masculine is a powerful force in the world today, but he's out of balance with his own feminine. So we see destruction of the environment, we see destruction of communities and families, things like that. So on the feminine side, you have yin and yang as well. So there's a yin feminine, and this is typically portrayed as more of the weak feminine. This is the receptive feminine. This is the feminine that surrenders, right? But there's so much courage it takes to be in this place of nurturing, in a place of surrender. But in order for her to surrender, she needs her yin and her yang. The yang to be the protective energy, and the yin to be the space holder energy on the masculine side. So that's the yin feminine. Now the yang feminine, it's one of my favorites. She's the lioness, she's the jaguar, she's the black panther, she's the Kali. She's the one that comes in and fiercely says, no, I will not accept any of this. This needs to go, that needs to go. And she comes in and she slays that which is no longer needed. And that's what she's doing right now to these old ways of thinking. So what happened in me was this awakening of this fierce feminine energy coming in. And she's like, what are you trying to do? Trying to label yourself as gay or bisexual or even any of this, because what you're doing is you're limiting the full expression of who I am. Who I am is free. Who I am is fluid. Who I am is the transcendence of all of this and the deconstruction of all of this to birth something new. So if you're experiencing that, that's what's happening in you. Is you're experiencing awakening, whatever your spirituality or no spirituality is, you represent the evolution of humanity, and you are very needed at this time. So I'd love to hear back from you. I'd love to hear your comments of how you're experiencing this. I love supporting people on this journey. If you are, I tend to work a lot with survivors of sexual abuse. I'm a survivor of early childhood rape and incest. My family's from West Virginia. I come from a Baptist family that it is real. It was the most horrible, difficult journey of my life, is to go through and reclaim my sacred power, to recall these memories which I repressed for 30 some years, and had to go do this deep work with shamans in Peru for years, and do this deep somatic trauma release work, really face into the horror. And what I've experienced is the same thing that most women experience on a global level. Like, I've experienced the repression of the feminine. I've experienced the rape that happens when people fear our sexual power. Because people will fear your divine feminine energy. They will fear your inner goddess. They will fear your sexual freedom. They will fear your gender freedom. And unfortunately, many of us on this journey experience abuse. 1 in 4 women, 1 in 5 men before the age of 18 will be sexually abused. It's a horrible statistic. So I love supporting people through their journey to heal from the old pain and trauma. I love supporting people through discovering their authentic sexuality, through integrating their masculine and feminine energy. So if you want support for any of that, you can find me at alashina.com or goddessawakenings.com. So the labels, live fluid and free, that is my mantra for you, and my wish and my prayer. I'd love to hear back from you. I'll see you in the next video. Many blessings. Alashina.